Hello, everybody, and welcome to Steakdorra the Explorers review REL 1 and 2A of Season 14 in REBBL. This is Week 12, which is the penultimate week. Third last? I don't know, however you want to word that. There'll be two more after this one, I believe. Because there'll be one after this week and before Week 13, which is next week. And then the very last one, which will be after all the matches are done. So we won't have any predictions to do or anything, but we want to check out, the final results, who makes playoffs, all that kind of good stuff. So like a wrap-up show, as it were. We're getting pretty close to some playoff locks in both the divs, but as far as I'm aware, there are none currently. So it's going to come down to the wire in both REL 1 and REL 2A, and that should be pretty fun. In REL 2B, where I am, one playoff spot is locked. Stacy has kind of taken the top, or Stacy is in first now, and he can't fall out of playoffs. So, Div 1 and 2A are definitely being exciting in terms of the div structures that exist. The game we are going to look at is Atomics and Yayo, Yield Guard and Rowdy Rebel Rousers in REL 2A. Atomics is still in the running. Yayo is closer to the bottom, but Atomics could end up causing a whole bunch of weird ties in this div if this match doesn't go his way. So I think that's the one that we're going to take a look at. It is a Nurgle-off, which is exciting, or not, depending on your point of view. Are you ready to get into the Nurgle-off?
I've always been ready.
Well, let's do it then. Here we go.
I believe I said that Atomics would win.
I can certainly check.
Yayo, I believe that you always try to win.
I'm pretty sure we both win with Atomics because bigger Nurgle team.
We weren't really spoiled for choice this week. We kind of had to.
Although spoilers, you absolutely we only really differed in Div 1, and you just nailed Div 1. You got every prediction right.
I saw the results coming in, and I thought I was having a good week, to be honest.
Well, both of us are out of negative points in Div 1 as of this week.
Because we just utterly crushed it?
Well, you utterly crushed it, and I did average and was just not very far below 0. So you have caught up very significantly in the points standings. Okay, we are in the game and we are good to go. We've got Yield Guard and we've got Atomics. You ready to start?
Yeah, boy.
3, 2, 1, go. Yield Guard has picked up a bribe and a wizard for their inducements, which is interesting. Normally,
you don't normally see the wizard in Nurgle inducement simply because they don't have a great way of taking advantage of it a lot of the time. But
yeah, the kind of use for the Nurgle wizard is not the same as the Elf or Skaven use, which is turn the wizard into a touchdown. It's use it to try to stop the touchdown defensively, so you win 1-0 kind of thing. And that doesn't necessarily work too well against Nurgle. It depends too if you're active, especially at this point in the season. You can definitely be forgiven for trying to play a little bit for preservation if you know you're not really capable of making the playoffs anymore. So there's a lot of coaches here that probably would have taken just in Igor to try to reroll that regen against one of your important players. But I appreciate the trying to win. I like it. I think you still have the lead, Superfed, because your predictions were good. Although some other people have caught up. Locust kind of came out of nowhere. I don't know what happened there, but suddenly Locust has a bunch of points.
I'm sort of tempted to make a meme. God, there's there was a really good one when COVID came out. Let me see if I can find it.
The Rowdy Rebel Rousers get an extra reroll, and we have a touchback. So Atomics is on offense first, and he is
carrying a big fist.
Well, his opponent has a wizard, so he wants to have the carrier to pick up when he gets wizarded. And strength 4 isn't the worst ball carrier, especially when there isn't strip ball or anything like that.
I mean, there is Horns block.
Yeah, but without an assist, Horns is just a 1-die now. But I mean, yeah, that's true. There's also block Horns tackle, so on the ball carrier would have been similar. Beast is just injured. Oh, well, that's not a good start.
I mean, it is a club on to start. You did put the Beast on the line, which I probably wouldn't do in a Nurgle.
No, I think I would have. I don't know what he had for Rotters. He had enough. I would have put Rotters on the line. I think it's just a rookie Beast, though.
It is, yeah. It's not that exciting. But
it's also,
is,
it's just badly hurt. And the Beast isn't incredibly important in the Nurgle versus Nurgle match, frankly.
I think he's pretty important. I don't know.
Not as important as he is in other games.
Ooh. Failed GFI, though, on the stun blitz. Has to reroll it. He did get an extra one, so this isn't a big deal. But
yeah, you can greed, but there's the greed option gone. You're unlikely to be able to greed reroll block now.
Given that you caught the ball, I don't think you're too worried about doing a greed. Pro not doing a thing.
This is very, very Nurgle-offy in that, we blitzed with the Clawpalmer, we backed him off, and then we tried to protect him against the counter blitz. And we're going to see a lot of trying to put Rotters in the way so that, their best blitz options are the Rotters or the players you care less about. And you get this kind of, the first few turns of a Nurgle-off, you get this kind of weird, game of chicken where no one really wants to commit because they don't want to start getting punched. But someone has to eventually, because that's how it works. So you see this sort of exact thing that EA is doing right now, where you get your one blitz on the best target you can possibly get, and then you sort of just try to keep your players relevant for the turn after, but not terribly exposed. I've done this basically exact turn, in 20 games with the Nurgle team. The ball is a little bit exposed, certainly for Atomics, but the Nurgle aren't fast enough to do anything about it. If this was an Elf team or a Skaven team or whatever, they would just go after that. There's not enough speed for the Nurgle to do anything about that. So we're going to try to chunk through the Rotters where we can. We'll try to get a good blitz where we can, and the ball will move up a little bit here, likely to get stuck in with the rest of the team. Going for the Nurgle Warrior. Foul appearance. Re-rolled it. There's the greed. And we're definitely not greeting anything anymore. What, with 2 rerolls left? And in these matchups too, you'll often see a one really good turn or one really bad turn to sort of swing things pretty aggressively.
We're even fouling Rotters. No bribe for Atomics, or is there a bribe studio? There's no bribe stadium or anything, is there?
No, there's no bribe for Atomics, but Atomics has a massive bench. And Yeo does not have a massive bench.
And he's already down 1. Yeah, okay, I get it.
Rotters are actually really... both teams just failing at each other so far. Rotters are actually really important here because they're the players that protect your good players. If they have no Rotters, they have to put other stuff on the line. They can't stop you from blitzing their Pestigors, and then they lose. So I kind of like it. We're going to see if the 2 Nurgle teams are playing correctly here, we'll probably see a foul pretty much every turn out of Yeo as long as he has a bribe, and every turn that you can get a couple assists from Atomics. Sorry, from Yeo as long as he's a bribe, and every turn they can get a couple assists from Atomics. I didn't notice the killer blitz, but I probably should have.
Second removal for Atomics.
Blodge just doesn't exist in this matchup. I've had a Blodge Warrior before. They get removed every time they get knocked down. The bad news is now, though, Atomics does have a whole bunch of, or Yeo does have a whole bunch of blocks in return here. We have a Claw Mighty Blow on a Nurgle Warrior. We have a Mighty Blow on a Rotter. We'll have to do some... I was going to say we'd have to do some work, but we have a Claw block hit from this Warrior, but he just got pushed out of the way by a Rotter. And if Beast fails a GFI,
It's got Pro, though.
it doesn't work.
It's going to be a 3+ soon. Still would have failed, but...
So we have there's a couple, like, you could just basically, as Yayo here, you completely ignore the ball. You do that hit, you hit the Nurgle Warrior with your Claw Mighty Blow, and then you have a Blitz on Atomic's like really good killer, which you probably want to take. We go after this guy, who's another reasonable killer to try and hit, and if you knock him down, you have the option to get a big ol' foul on the Beast of Nurgle, which we might still do, although we don't have a great fowler to do it with. We do have a bribe. Beast for beast? Kind of. One might come back still. Ooh. Well, the bribe is gone, so we're going to have to be a bit more careful with our fouls now. Less likely to see it.
At least it worked, given that that was the killer.
Yeah, exactly. But we're a lot less likely to see it from the killer now. Oof.
Yayo not having a great time so far.
Nope, not really. We've got a Beast and a Rotter out for Atomics. We've got a Beast and a Nurgle Warrior out for Yayo. So Yayo is currently losing that fight. Down by a Nurgle Warrior. We do have a Rotter being mildly annoying. In that he can't just leave his ball carrier completely alone. He has to keep something there, like Ornan, for example. So that sort of does something for the player count, in that he kind of has to tie up 2 of his players and keeping the ball safe. You know, it's... Oh! Well, never mind. 2 Nurgle Warriors down. This is starting to look real bad for Yayo.
Regen is a thing, thankfully, but, yeah. This drive seems over, which, you know... You're the defender in a Nurgle off. It's just expected, really.
Yeah, I mean, we'll probably see Yayo do something similar to Atomics in the next half.
Who knows?
Depends on how many of these are perms.
Close. A 3 into a 7. He had to use Mighty Blow to get through the armor. Otherwise, that would have been a KO.
We don't have a whole lot available for Atomics now. Or Yayo. God, I'm going to confuse them a lot. Get a block with the Frenzy Goat. We get an injury on Sand Dune. That's a big warrior to remove.
So that is another regen, so...
We have a 1-die that we can do with the killer, and failed dodge. I was going to say we could probably 2-die the ball with this killer, right? With some dice rolls. And by 2-die I mean 1-die, because he is a strength piece. But we roll the skull. Oh man, I think that was the right play. Like, it was 1/3+ to 1-die the ball, which is something you probably take a lot of the time as Nurgle. Just happen to roll a skull, unfortunately.
Yeah, they've been truly abysmal.
Yeah, Yayo has not had the greatest of block dice so far. I think he's doing pretty much everything. No, it's hard to say right, because there's so many different options in Blood Bowl, but I think he's doing everything well, fine, good enough. Like, he's playing well. It's just making reasonable decisions. And now that we've got a bit of a player advantage for Atomics, we can just keep it going. It's going to be really hard for Yayo to get blocks in return, and Atomics can force a lot more blocks in a turn than Yayo can. Although Bird is KO'd. and Yayo does still have a wizard, so if we
I feel like push path directions are the math is for blockers of Blood Bowl. Is anyone familiar with that Magic the Gathering saying?
No.
It's like a thing that people say against like red deck wins players. Math is for blockers. You alpha, you attack with everything you have, and the person who's defending has to do the math. That's their job.
Oh, I see. Ugh, that KO and that Pestigore is actually really annoying. 'Cause I was gonna say, if we got one of these Nurgle Warriors over here and had the Pestigore over here, a wizard the turn after probably wouldn't be that unreasonable, because Atomics pretty much has to go forward soon, if not now, and we would have had a hard time keeping everybody keeping the ball super safe against a wizard and a blitz if you had a couple players over here. But the continued KOs make that hard.
I mean, it says a lot about. Oh, gets a send off at least. I think it says a lot about Nurgle that Atomics has been dominating this half so hard and moved the ball into his opponent's half on turn 6.
Welcome to Nurgle.
Yeah. So that's a really good scatter. If you want to
that fireball went about as well as it possibly could have. And we injured a good Nurgle warrior that failed to regen. Was that a real injury? Just badly hurt. But we have a chance at getting this ball here, and that suddenly makes things pretty awkward for Atomics. That fireball was ridiculous, though. If that wasn't an above-average fireball, that probably wouldn't have gone super well.
I think Yayo needed an above-average fireball.
He definitely did. And now we try to pick it up, I assume, or are we just going to mark it a whole bunch?
I think you have to pick it up.
Well, we choose not to. I mean, so all we have to do is we just scatter the ball here and pray, I guess, as Atomics.
Not even that much for a prayer.
Piling on the KO.
Not punished.
Nope, and that scatter certainly worked out for him now that it's in 0 tackle zones. I think you probably should have just tried to roll the pickup with the Pestigore. I understand you wouldn't have had rerolls for it or anything, but it would be so much safer in your hands than available.
I think people do that a lot, especially teams like Nurgle that aren't used to the necessary risks. As soon as they're looking at a 3+ with no reroll, with the potential to scatter into tackles or to no tackle zones, they're like, okay, no, it's definitely better for me not to touch this right now. And 9 times out of 10, that's wrong. Like, if your opponent has an easy way to scatter the ball, your choice is almost certainly incorrect.
Well, there was another terrible block dice for Yayo. Yeah, and I've definitely fallen into that as, like, when I first started playing Nurgle, there was so much of, like, oh, a 3+, that's impossible, better not bother trying, like, kind of mentality. And you can't do that. There's a lot, and with Nurgle, there's a lot of, this is the easiest play, but it leaves me in a bad spot if I, like, this play is harder, but it puts me in a way better spot if it works. Like, you have to do that, make that decision a lot. I find, anyway. Also, playing Bretonians for a couple seasons in 1 minute league made me way less afraid of 3+. Yeah, I feel like Atomics was a little lucky there, frankly, to turn that into a touchdown. He also ate the wizard from Yayo, which is a big deal.
Yayo does get almost all of his KOs back, but so does Atomics. So
yeah, so the Atomics is out a Nurgle Warrior and Yayo is at his Beast. So I think that this is, like, the removals are worse for Atomics right now, especially given that Yayo might just chunk through another 3 Rotters here if he's lucky. But I think the biggest mistake was probably just not picking up the ball. The scatter direction could have been a lot worse, and then Atomics probably doesn't score. But if it's in your hands, that becomes extra awkward. And if you failed to pick it up, it's not like it would have been much worse than it already was, given that he could still scatter it if you failed to pick it up or just marked it. So now we aim for a couple 3 dives where we can try to get lucky on the removals. Well, that doesn't help. Just a stone.
Not a lot coming up with Yayo. Or coming up for Yayo, I should say.
No, you get a touchback, so we can aim for a vanity pass, I guess. Is there anybody who...
Ass.
I like how you screw that up every time. The meme is manatee ass, and you always say vanity ass, like it's a beautiful ass that thinks very highly of itself.
Mm-hmm. That's how I self-identify.
As a vanity, a beautiful ass that is in love with yourself?
Yes?
Yeah, I think that's accurate.
That's not. I mean, if Tristan were here, she'd be nodding along. I don't know.
Nothing so far. Just wondering if there's like a different... Man, there's a lot of recent levels on this team. Depression is 76. Coco is 76 SPP. Oh, that's a decent raid. Phaeton is raiding with 48 people. Oh, Git Lee is dead. We're not playing, so most of you are probably entirely uninterested in this. This is a recap show where Shadorra and myself take a look at what happened in REL 1 and REL 2A over the last week in terms of match results and try to predict what's happening next week. So if you're not directly involved in REBBL, you're probably not terribly interested in this, but I appreciate the support. Feel free to hang around. If you happen to like me in particular, I do stream all of the Blood Bowl games I play. I will just warn you, I'm very derpy.
You are very derpy, but that's endearing. To some people, I think.
Oh, I'm sure some people tear their hair out watching me, and some people find it entertaining, and some people just like to hang out. So there's somebody for a lot of people out there in the Blood Bowl universe.
I used to be in the tearing my hair out camp, but mostly I just popcorn it these days. Also, I started playing Skaven, and then I realized I can derp out pretty hard too, and I just gave up. It's fine. We're all just idiots.
I do all right. I mean, I'm probably never going to win the Super Bowl, but I tend to stick around the top divisions with a garbage team, which is something. Haven't lost yet in Clan this season.
Sure.
So I said that, therefore I'm going to lose this week.
That's also a fair point.
Oh, well, there's another rock. Yayo, jeez, man. This game...
This is the game saying no pretty hard.
It doesn't want you to win this one.
It's big Nurgle versus small Nurgle, and the small Nurgle are getting diced. So you can see how that's going to go.
Yeah.
This is the second rock the small Nurgle have sustained.
They really do. The crowd hates Nurgle, and they've picked one to like unleash all of their ire upon. Well, we didn't really get anything out of the LOS blocks. I like how Atomic... You see this too in Nurgle matchups where the Nurgle set up like 5 squares away from the LOS. It means they can't really do anything the first turn on defense, but they're also very unlikely to get blitzed. And you see this in like Nurgle versus Chaos, because Chaos Warriors are movement 5. You'll see it against Nurgle, because the Pestigores will do the blitzing, and then they can't really retreat, and you get to hit one in return. And your first turn is...
work as well versus Chaos, because Chaos can send Rookie Beasts forward to kind of screen off their killer, but yeah.
And then you do this like this is turn 9 in a Nurgle versus Nurgle matchup in a nutshell. It's just sort of, well, I'll sit back here, make sure my players are all relatively relevant, and all you can do next turn is blitz someone, and here are the targets that I think I'd like you to blitz. Come at me, bro. We move the screening rotters forward to try to protect our own killers, so that maybe we have a chance to do something next turn. And you get the weird game of chicken again. I love it. It's such a stupid matchup. It's very entertaining. I'm sure it's not for a lot of people, though. But the first, 2 or 3 turns of this weird game of chicken until something happens.
Yeah, I mean, I think that it's a good thing to do when you're in the dominant position. Yeah, because no one plays safer than a kill team in a kill mirror. I think that's certainly true. In an elf mirror, you see death because people are I mean, A, it's really hard to protect your positionals, and B, people are just like going balls to the wall to try to get anything done.
I don't know. A lot of people will probably disagree with me, but I kind of like that. I like playing these types of matchups because it's a fun like puzzle at the start, the first few turns.
Yeah, you're right. A lot of people will disagree with you.
And I think they're interesting to watch, and a lot of people disagree with me that too. But if listening to me talk about Blood Bowl for the last several years has taught you anything, it's that my attitude to Blood Bowl is so different than almost everybody in the world's that I must be wrong. So yeah, I like that. That's a fair analogy, I think.
Block doing a thing, but not getting the job done.
I did not, because I actively avoid watching CCL. If that tells you anything about how I just went through this spiel about how I'm very different than a lot of other Blood Bowl coaches in both opinion and attitude to things.
It's fine. This is sort of a cage. I think every time we watch Yayo play a game, he makes a based cage, or not a based cage, a based ball. Not even fouling this one. It is a rookie cage? Warrior, like whatever.
Yeah, I mean it's a rookie warrior, and he's next to guard, so even if he tries to blitz from the floor, it's going to be at best a one die.
And I mean he's not exactly in the best position, so I suppose I get it. Though this is allowing the beast to potentially follow up onto 3 pieces, and given the guard disparity, I'm not sure you can actually adequately deal with that threat. I mean, you won't be able to deal with it, I think, just because all the spaces are going to be filled.
Yeah, so Yayo is like kind of gone pretty aggressively forward. Like we saw in the first drive, Atomics didn't move the ball over the LOS until turn 6. Yayo is like, 1 turn away from being in scoring position on turn 11. So he's much more aggressive pushing forward, and Atomics kind of let it happen a little bit. We are getting involved in there now. Like theoretically, Yayo could score now if he wants to. We block this Nurgle Warrior out of the way. We can hand off to this guy 2 GFIs and score. Although going back on defense is probably not what you want immediately until you know what the player count is going to look like. I understand that Atomics has 3 in the Cavs box and 2 KO'd, but those KOs come back for 1, and 2 he has 16 players, so like he still has a full team with all 5 of these out.
Yeah, there's nothing better than the snaked nega trait from a pro succeeding. Like, I don't love pro on big guys on the best of days, but that always just makes me a little warm inside.
No, and Ornan is dead.
He doesn't seem to be getting better.
Well, that's a big loss for Atomics. That's 202 SPP of ball carrier gone.
Big F. You still playing him, Superfed, or is your game already gone?
Yeah, as I hadn't gotten there yet, but as Yayo says in chat, like if you wanted this game, Atomics is in that big group of coaches who are all sort of tied, and Yayo is 1 win behind them. So if Yayo wants to have a chance at making playoffs here, he has to win this. So he's playing very aggressively here to try to get that win.
Can we just give up on the recap and go watch Lumi versus Superfed live? Because that's definitely going to be hysterical, and I need to see it.
I mean,
there are no rules here, right? We can just do that.
I mean, I don't want to say no.
Steal Lumi's thunder and stream his own game. We can just do the predictions off screen. It'll be fine. I feel like this is the stream everyone really wants anyway, and they're not going to be watching ours.
You're probably not wrong.
I really am.
Like I'm really, really tempted to do that. Other than the fact that Lumi will be streaming it, and I don't want to steal away like his game.
I don't think Lumi would care. I'm going to speak for him here.
Well, no. Unless I get explicit permission from Luminous, I will say no.
All right.
But if you want to go watch that, I would not blame you from tuning out from this. Luminous says he's okay with it.
He does. You know what that means? It's meme time.
Yeah,
all right. We've also gotten Truk on board.
Well, welcome to the non-recap stream. We'll do our predictions off stream for next week, and we will, I guess, try to we'll like look at the leaderboards and the div predictor, but probably not all of the match results if we want this to finish at a reasonable time. But we can watch. We'll cast the Luminous Superfed game, I think.
I'm excited. I hope everyone else is excited for this nonsense.
So that'll be starting in about 15 minutes. So we'll finish this one up, and then we can try to like look at the leaderboards and like the results real fast, like not even individual game results. We'll just look at the scores.
Oh, I mean, I refuse to call that game. I'm like willing to not to forego the chance to get points because I have no idea. I mean, I think rats tend to struggle with vampires. But also, every time I think that Lumi loses because he's like facing a team with 8 blodge and he has no tackle, he wins like 4-1. So
I don't know. Yeah, I'm willing to not predict that one and just not take the points, not cast
has
a curse
anyone
on
beaten Lumi at REBBL? I've never seen it.
Other than the games that he's lost, you know.
I chose not to see those.
Ah, I see. Selective vision.
It's me being my most American as a Canadian.
Choosing what to believe, or like it's not there because I can't see it, or whatever. Yeah. I'm sure I have some, like, I've played a couple big name coaches like once or twice, and I'm sure I've beaten like one of them, and I will never play them again, so I can just like definitively say that I'm better than them, and then just leave it at that.
You have an interesting definition of definitive.
Yep. Hey, well, we've played and I've won, so what do you want to say about it? I have no idea. I can't think of all the coaches I've ever played, but I'm sure there's like, you know, a relatively well-respected coach in there that I've played before.
I played Gerber a bunch of times, but that's like the opposite of a well-respected coach.
I played Gerber once, and I only won because I had an Agi 5 Orc Blitzer who just dodged through everything to score.
Every time Gerber and I play, it's an utter dicing. Like, just an absolute shit show.
I mean, don't think I've ever played Superfed. I've never played Lumi.
I have not played either of them.
I've beaten Travel Scrabble once, but he's beaten me more times than I've beaten him, so that doesn't count.
Never played Travel Scrabble.
I mean, I was in REL 1 for a couple seasons, so I've played a lot of like a number of coaches that have been around, like REL 1, REL 2 for the last couple seasons, certainly. We played in a one-day tourney, but that doesn't really count. Oh, we did. We played in huge Jackman once, and I pitch cleared you, and I KO'd Cup Killer by throwing a halfling at him, and he never came back.
Did I play? I played some big coach in a one-day tournament at like 7 a.m. after I'd been up for 6 hours, and I was definitely like a raging, like not actually like rabid, but I was scarcely conscious and certainly not self-aware.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever played a one-day tournament in like a correct state of mind and with a team that isn't meme. I think I've only ever played in Chaos Cup is the only one-day tournament that I don't play stunties in. But I do remember now that I pitch cleared, or almost pitch cleared, Luminous's Rats and Huge Jackman with halflings, including throwing a halfling at Cupkilla to KO him, and he failed like 3 KO rolls and never came back.
I do remember you talking about this at length.
It was funny at the time because Cupkilla is a monster. That rat over is ridiculous.
You talk about everything at length.
I do, yes. Well, Yayo. So back to this game. Yayo did score early. And now he's got to attempt to overturn atomics in, you know, the 3 turns that he has available, which isn't great. Like this is really where we'd want the wizard, right? If we managed to go 1-1, we had 4 or 5 turns left, and we still had the wizard. You could try some pretty serious, like aggressive plays with that wizard to try and get something done, especially given that Ornan is gone and he doesn't have a great recovery if the ball's on the floor. But we had to use that wizard in the first half and it didn't really work out. So that's like, I mean, the wizard is great, but it didn't stop Atomics from scoring. There's Pro again, not doing a thing. Yeah, Yayo with 2 turns. He's very unlikely to score here. And it's not that unreasonable that Atomics can score with 2 turns left. Okay, when I'm dying. I think Yayo played his drive correctly. I think just the way that the first half went made...
I mean, just so we're clear, that was a double POW on a blodger into a removal with no mighty blow. Okay.
And we just yeeted that to a rotter to go hide in the corner. Like, what? That was also in Disturbing Presence, right? That was...
4+ catch. No, 3+ catch into a... No. Yeah, so it was
the pass was in Disturbing Presence.
It was a 4+ pass.
It's a 4+, 3+. Well, at least the Warrior got better. Oh, that is just the rookie. Yeah, the KO not coming back. The KO is certainly a problem. I think the first half needed to go better if we wanted this to be a win.
Well, I mean, that was looking pretty good until the fucking rotter heat.
Yeah, that's fair.
That was the dumbest shit I've seen in this game, and that's...
Well, even then, you know, this was turn 15, right? Like, it's entirely possible that Yayo... It was looking good for Yayo to be able to stop the score. It wasn't looking good for him to win.
No, it was looking like a tie. But that's important for...
Well, it's important for Atomics, but Yayo needed to win it.
To be in playoff contention?
Yeah. Which is why he scored so early in the first half, right? Or the second half. If you were just okay with a draw, you would have just stalled for, 8 turns there.
Takes big balls to kill big fist.
Yeah, the Wiz was the chance. Well, here we go. Rotter blocks. Beast is still going to be useless, I imagine. I'm sure Atomics' opponents are going to be pretty happy about Ornan being dead, though. Especially the more agi-based ones, as he is the, sure hands ball carrier piece. Beast squishes his way in. Well, wait, was that a... What was the foul appearance roll on? Rotter stuff. We can chain push a Pestigore off so that we can block the beast with claw. Never mind. Well, we agreed, rerolled it. It's turn 16. We had 2 rerolls. You're not going to stop the score. There's no reason not to. Now, we're going to foul this killer, right? Looks like it. It's, chance at a free... Or wait, a rotter already died, didn't it?
No, it doesn't matter, because Nerval's rod is infinite.
Oh, you're right, but it doesn't work against, just MNG'd. I always mix it up. There's a difference between Necromancer's and Nurgle's Rod for what players count. cannot have decay or regeneration, so it doesn't do anything against rotters.
Yes, it does. Oh, they have decay, right?
Yeah, but it's the necromancer one works against decay but not regeneration, which I always forget which one is which. Because you can kill a ghoul as a Nurgle team and get a rotter, and then they can kill your rotter and get a zombie back and get the same player as a zombie, like theoretically, but it does not work in reverse. So that is Yayo losing to Atomics. Atomics takes the win there, 2-1. Many more armor breaks for Atomics. More deads, like it cost Atomics a lot in terms of that ball carrier, but Yayo did not take the win, unfortunately. I will leave Blood Bowl up, and we'll look at we'll just look at rebel.net until the Luminous and Superfed game starts, which should be soon, I would imagine. Well, I hope
they start pretty soon.
I hope some of it was useful, yeah, because we spent a lot of time not talking about what was going on.
I mean, that's not unusual, though.
So let's look at 2A first, given the that we just looked at that. We're not going to look at all the game results, but we can. So we have time to do everything, but we can see the results. Like Soul of Dragon's Fire beat Our Name is Legion. Uber the Nuber beat I Shoot Blanks 4-0, but that's not terribly unexpected.
Yeah, unexpected things here, I would say. Locust beating Fall is a little unexpected.
The 3-0 over CR Boys is a bit unexpected for Schuttenheim. Like, I would have expected him to win that, I think, but not 3-0. Yeah.
Everything else actually in 2A went about as I thought it would, I think. I don't know that I predicted anything too different from that. But...
we can take a look real quick. So you were wrong about Fall and the All-Stars of Chaos, and everything else went the way you predicted, yeah?
Yep.
Other than the match that hasn't been played yet. This is supposed to be happening, I think, now. They were going to be playing last night, but the hurricane that is going through parts of the U.S. right now knocked out Ursa's power, and he couldn't play last night. So according to Discord anyway, they're going to try to get that played tonight. I did the exact same thing that you did, except I wanted to have a pick that was different than yours, so I picked the Yayo Atomics game differently, mostly so we had a contentious pick.
That's funny, but yeah, predictable.
We did discuss that exactly last week, saying like, I'll pick the other one so we have something different. That's what it was. But there you go. That's what those results look like. We're not going to jump into them. Locust did like remove the hell out of Fall, though. If you look at those match results, which is why it went that way.
That's how Locust wins games. So he's really good at removing people. Like I don't want to take away from, like Locust plays the removal game and plays it like well. He is serious about it. But like when you say things like that, I'm like, well, yeah, of course it did.
Yeah, you're not wrong. Yeah. Slade confirms in chat that he's waiting for Urs to respond about whether they can play tonight or not. So keep in mind that Urs and Slade could change a bit, right? So Urs is still in first, even though he hasn't played this week. So even if he loses, he'll remain in first. But a loss, Slade winning brings him up to 17, which is shoots him above Soul of Dragon's Fire, below Fall, Atomics, Shooty, Uber, Kilric, and Locust. So this is how the leaderboard shakes out. Let me pull up Dranar's handy dandy div predictor. I have it set up for REL 1 right now, but we'll adjust that given that we're looking at REL 2 right now. So I'll move that. REL 2A, download. There are 3 playoff spots and 1 Challengers Cup spot. And then we'll run this. It only takes a second. So nobody is confirmed for playoffs, although Urs winning would do a lot for that. Urs has the biggest playoff chance by far right now.
The biggest playoff chance in the smallest team. For those of you joining from other
late
places, Urs is a Lizard coach who has no players left.
Yep. He's lost several Saurus this season, but he wins on the back of some pretty gross skinks.
Hey, Unseen Walker. Welcome to the not recap. Actually, I'm going to post about it because we are going to stream the game, so I will change the streaming announcement.
Luminous and Superfed are playing, and that's a big match for REL 1 and also a big match in general. And it'll be fun to watch, so we're just going to cast that instead of doing most of the recap because it should be starting soon. All-Stars of Chaos, Battle Brothers are the other sort of top contenders, those playoff spots. Although Anagram Catastrophe, Orcsploitation Cinema, and the Rowdy Rebel Rousers have a reasonable chance at staying in there. Here We Fall could still remain, and theoretically, Marvelous Creatures and Terror Alliance are in there, but not really. It's just very low. Everyone else is unfortunately eliminated from playoff contention at this point. So the Old Guard, Bring Out Your Undead, the Horn of Gorthank, Talk Show Terror, and CR Boys can focus on development for the last couple weeks. But the match between Urs and Terror Alliance is going to change this up pretty significantly, certainly. So, yep, Slade and Urs are going to play. So there you go. And we'll look at the Div 1 results. Were there anything surprising here? We predicted, so this was a surprise, Superfed himself claiming that he was going to lose this game. Superfed versus Larkstar. Superfed took that one 2-1. I think the only other difference we had was Ragedorf and Luminous, and I was just sort of cheering for my boy Unseen Walker, and Luminous took that one. But Superbase beat Toast Guy, Mongoose beat Not for Science, Travel Scrabble beat Big Chuck, Stouticus beat B-Dog, and if you look at this one too, that's another big removal game. B-Dog taking a lot of injuries there. Nothing too serious. I wonder if there's any important deaths or anything from big players that we know about. Although this is how I would have expected this game to go. Superfed won 2-1, but took 8 casts in the process. Oh my gosh. Strength bust on his killer though, which is certainly a big problem. Everything else is not that important, other than the MNGs, of course. Ramaset tied with Acropolis 2-2, and of course the Ragedorf Luminous match. So if we look at the leaderboards, this is how they stand for that. Superfed a win ahead still with his win over Larkstar. If he had lost that, he would have been tied with Stouticus and Luminous, which would have made this an extra big game that we're about to watch. But he did manage to take that win, which does quite a bit for his playoff chances. But Superfed, Stouticus, Luminous are the top. Mongoose, Superbase, B-Dog, Travel Scrabble, Ramaset, even Big Chuck are all in a shot for those bottom 2 spots. But I'd say the top 3 are going to be some combination of one of those 3: Stouticus, Luminous, and Superfed. Yeah.
Which explains why we're watching the game if you haven't already said that.
Yeah, exactly. So if I can bring up the Div Predictor, and we can see how Div 1 looks for that. There are 5 playoff spots and 0 Challengers Cup spots, which means that I would have made the playoffs 2 seasons ago if we had this structure then. Damn it. Instead of the Challengers Cup.
Yeah, you really missed out on the opportunity to embarrass yourself round 1.
That's true. I made it to round 2 in Challengers, thank you very much. And then lost to a Dark Elf team who I've played twice since and beaten both times. Which certainly...
I made it to... Did I make it to round 2 or round 3 in the playoffs?
So it does do a lot for Superfed's chances, but he's not completely locked. I've run this a couple times and I've seen everything from 99.98% to 100%. So I mean, it's within a rounding error that Superfed has this locked. He probably has like a 0.01% chance of coming 6th or something, and it just doesn't show up because of rounding. So it's pretty unlikely that he doesn't make it, but I guess mathematically possible, so we'll leave it at that. But as I said, Grungy Desserts, Gourmet Governors are very likely to make it along with that. And then the last few spots, currently it's looking like Bull Canoe is the favorite, but Broken Bone Battalion, Bogue Bombers, Scooby and the Gang are the other big contenders for those last 2 spots, with Ramaset and Clicheos being kind of outside chances. Although theoretically, everybody but Beard to Death, Dazed and Confused, and Fellows Kuwata are not mathematically eliminated, if that makes you feel any better. But we're very likely to see a confirmed playoff spot as a result of this game between Superfed and Luminous. So that should be fairly interesting to check out. So I wonder if they have gotten going.
Have we looked at the teams yet?
But those 2 teams, if that's what you want to do, we can do that.
If they're not live yet, I would, yeah.
I don't know if they're live or not. I suppose we could go check. We do have the technology. They are live, so let's open that up.
We can look at the teams in game.
It's okay, Unseen Walker. We can still be friends.
You can only win in whatever N+1 seasons it is now.
Here we go. We came in at just the right time. They are setting up, in fact. Looks like I don't know who won the toss, but Superfed is on offense first, which seems like a luminous decision, I think, if I were going to guess the meta of this game.
Yeah, that makes some sense. You could go back to the start to check, but
that would involve work.
I understand.
So Superfed is going to have a bunch of inducements for this, given that he's down a lot, and we can see that. We've got a wizard, but I think that's from this. I don't know, we're in the Nuffles altar. So he's bought a wizard. We have Glart Smash Rip, and we have Skitter Stab, who is, for the most part, just an extra gutter runner, but, you know, the stab isn't irrelevant against Armor 7 Thralls. He has 3 bench of loners. I mean, he's also induced a loner rat, because he's got 2 star players. So 2 star players and a loner rat, I think, would be the inducements here. If I'm doing my numbers right.
Yeah.
We've only got the 1 Storm Vermin for this because his other Storm Vermin is strength busted, unfortunately. The other one was the Claw one, I think. This one is Tackle Juggernaut.
We might want to move my face or delete it because you can't see the player cards.
That is fair.
Do you want to just go into like actual streaming mode? Or
yeah.
Faces don't show?
I will do
so
that.
I can get my nose on camera and not have to worry about it. Ooh, perfect defense for the rats. Or no, for the vamps rather is a pretty big deal. He can make this very tough for the rats to get blocks.
Yeah, and he can move away from Skitter so that his dodge player doesn't just get stabbed. He can make the rats aren't going to want to make a bunch of, you know, blockless blocks, as it were, as their only options. So Luminous can do a lot here to make the rats free blocks from the LOS awkward.
Possible that he won't want to get too invested here.
And with the short kick, he's also putting Dimil Sum really close to be able to threaten that. You know, it's only a token threat, as gutter runners can get that ball and get it far away relatively quickly. But a couple vampires could do something to break that defense and just get in on that ball. The gutters can get back to the center of the field, and if Superfed really wanted to, he could also just, like, you know, get it with one gutter runner and pass it to another one, for example. Skitter Stab. Fun player. Prehensile Tail Shadowing. Is this a combo? I mean, kind of.
For some values of combo.
He also has Stab. For the most part, though, people often just use him as a 5th gutter runner, because it turns out movement 9 is really good.
Gut out of stream. Look at them. It's almost like they're admins or something.
I know, right? And, you know, honest folk.
One really honest. The other one is Superfed.
Yeah. I think one of them is a robot that is programmed to be incapable of lying.
Checks out, I suppose.
Alrighty, and we begin. Now we get to see Superfed's choice of push direction. If you were here for that last cast.
That was the best joke of the stream. I'm calling it. I don't know that everyone's going to appreciate it, but it was objectively the best joke.
Thank you.
Game recognizes game, Ben.
I don't know. Metal's joke in the podcast had me like cry laughing for like 3 minutes, and then I had to like tell it to other people just so everyone's aware how much I appreciate really shitty jokes. The best part about it was that it was sort of like 2-layered. There were like 2 punchlines. And the first one, I was like, oh, that's fine. Like, it kind of doesn't work in my accent, but I think that's still pretty funny. And then it comes, like, the second one hit me, and then I just, like, that double layer, like, absolutely ruined me for, like, several minutes.
You were sloon?
I was dead, fam. However you want to call it, however you want to... I'm too old for this.
Yeah, you are.
I'm in my 30s, damn it.
You and me both, sweetheart. Juggernaut doing a thing. Superfed not pressing the wrong buttons there. Will he pile on? Probably.
There's an injury. I mean, so Luminous has a huge bench, but we are out 2 of them
That's
already.
a rough tackle piece. You know, it's not nothing.
And the one that's KO'd is a dodge plus movement. No, neither is irrelevant.
Lumi didn't go all mans, to be honest.
Don't forget to do your we obviously we didn't predict this one, but don't forget to do your other predictions, you know, tomorrow morning or something when you're bored at work.
Did we just choose not to predict this one? Is that what we're doing?
I mean, you could do that if you'd like, but I feel like it's a little unfair to predict once the match has started.
I mean,
but
I guess
I am choosing not to predict it.
That's fair. We'll be good.
Vanity Pass for Eden Sin to grab the level. 31 SPP now for the Wrestle 2 heads Gutter Runner. Couple options for the level there if we only roll normals. Strip Ball is a likely one. Tackle is an option if you feel like you need it. It probably depends on what your next matchups look like. But that is kind of the ball hawk Gutter Runner, as it were. So things to make that better are probably the plan. You know, tackle, strip ball, dauntless, something like that. To finish off with the line rat blocks. This is fun. We're watching a match in another injury. Jeez, Superfed is just going after these thralls right now.
Getting her done.
I like how we're watching a match in Div 1 between like 2 like big winning teams where there isn't actually very much block on either team. Like, it just seems like something that should be a given in Div 1 is, you know, block everywhere. But none of the line rats have it. Like 1 Storm Vermin. Glart Smash Rip, obviously. The 1 bulk, or the 2 Gutter Runners that have it. We have 3 rostered players for Superfed with block. Alright, well, how do you play this with 3 thralls now?
Carefully and with as little vampire movement as possible.
Yeah, well, we ran away with the ball, so we can't threaten it with the vampires. I mean, we could do a bunch of dodges to, like, hypno-gaze the ball carrier, but that's not going to accomplish anything. We could chain push the lineman off of the down Storm Vermin, and if we get a knockdown on Glart Smash Rip, set up a real big foul on proxy page, if you're willing to risk another thrall. You do have Dirty Player. Oh, there is another Storm Vermin. He fired the strength busted one and picked up a rookie one. I see. Well, we do have the vampire threat. Given that there's, what, 1 tackle on the Superfed's team and it's currently on the floor, a Blodge Vampire is a pretty reasonable threat. I just need to be careful about the positioning with the, you know, Gutter Runners being so fast. Hypnogaze failure, but that does allow us the chain push if we want, right? If we block Glart with a vamp. Looks, hey, I feel smart. Lumi's doing a thing that I thought about. That makes me feel like I'm not a total moron.
Embrace that, you know? It's fleeting.
It really is. You know, I have very, very narrow areas of expertise.
Yeah, I mean, I've talked to a lot of people about that, where they're like, oh, well, oh, this is my friend, you know, he's getting his PhD. I'm like, PhD students are some of the stupidest people I've ever met. And I don't mean that in a disparaging way. It's just like their intelligence tends to be incredibly, or not their intelligence, they're like,
well, it's like the focus, right? Like it's
their academic, like their intellectual focus tends to be incredibly specific. So like, sure, my PhD friends are, if you ask them about economics, knock it out of the park. You ask them about making food for dinner, less solid.
You know, I have a friend who's incredibly intelligent. He's doing a PhD in like biochemistry, currently working on like Alzheimer's research and stuff. And listening to him talk about that is amazing. He is also I've also never seen another human being get their fingers stuck in as many things as that person has. Like he is Jacob. I don't know if you've met him.
I know, sort of, yeah.
But he has gotten his fingers like irreparably stuck inside beer bottles so many times just because he like absentmindedly plays with things.
Pronounce irreparably like that.
Fair enough. You know, like he's gotten his head stuck in things. I handed him a champagne bottle once and told him to shake it inside of his own kitchen, and he went okay and shook it, and then spent the next several hours cleaning champagne off his ceiling because he just listened to what I said.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, like I know exactly what you mean. I may or may not have a PhD, and by that I mean I definitely don't. But I'm probably in a similar camp in a lot of ways.
You do your best, Ben.
Hey man, if you want to do statistical analysis on medical claims data, I'm your man.
I know. I got you in my black book, in case it ever comes up.
Or if you
I'm really thinking about this turn.
Or if you want to know about like the database behind one of our particular applications, because apparently everybody in the like 6,000-7,000 person company asks me anytime any of them have a question that even remotely is related to that program.
And in the same vein, if you want to know about project management and pornography, in particular compliance and risk,
I'll ask Superfed.
I'll ask me. He's the one to get a PBN tickets.
So we're definitely moving this ball to one of those other gutter runners, right? Because he can't just leave it where it is. He could go in the far back corner if he wants to like get out of the range of the vamp, but as of right now, this is not particularly safe.
That is certainly a way of putting it. Yeah. Oh, hands off to a. Oh, gets it on the reroll. That's nice.
I think. Well, I mean, are we gonna potato that?
Extreme Patet, I think, is the plan du jour, because there's no way to make this safe. Like, this is an interesting move from Fed. He can sort of screen off. He can 3+ and then sideline cage, but sideline caging versus vampires, spoilers, is a terrible idea.
Well, he's pretty speedy. I think he can get out of range with some GFIs here, right?
Well, he's got no reroll, so
he can't, and he can't either.
The blitzers are 1 square faster than the vampires, and the vampires are farther into their own field. So that doesn't check out.
For some reason, I was thinking movement 8.
Oh, I guess Skitter's stab could. Okay, so if that stab had worked, he would have been a tiny bit safer, and then it would have been a 3+3+2. Oh no, you can just totally go with this guy. Never mind. What am I talking about?
Well, that makes the blitz from Kim Jong-un a little bit worse. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
The strength of up one instead.
3, 4, 5, 6, 7, because he can't dodge through.
Yes, he can. It's just prehensile tail. It's a 3+.
It doesn't have the movement to get around both Skitter and the lineman,
you
right?
end up cutting through some.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Oh, he's movement 9, so it's 2 GFIs and a 3+ and a 2+, right? You could go just 2 pluses from the movement vamp. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 2+ dodge and a 2+ GFI with the movement vamp, but he doesn't have block.
Yeah, but you don't care because the block area is blocked. Block fail state already, and if you're failing at that point, then the score is happening at that point. So also we're gonna see some hypno gazes that might change those dice.
We could hypnogaze Skitter, and that would make dodging through a lot less bad. It turns out, or block him. I mean, it turns out shadowing movement 9 is not a good thing to dodge through.
Yeah, that's a fair point. I always forget that he has shadowing, to be fair, Wolf. One of the few players that actually gets use out of it.
Yeah.
At least sometimes. Anyway, we'll see the rookie dodge movement piece coming, I think.
It's one. If he cuts the corner, it's 1 2+ dodge with a reroll and 1 2+. And he has a reroll for the block if he doesn't have to reroll the bloodlust. Well, he failed the bloodlust. He activated the player and failed the bloodlust. Oh, that's the other one down here.
Yeah, this is fine. He just has to move up and eat the dirty player, probably.
Could also eat the leader. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
So he might not want to, but he is. I think he's trying to get up and take away that tackle zone. So we may see him do that.
Yeah, you could walk up and hypnogaze the loner and then eat the leader. Yeah.
I believe that's the intention.
Did he reroll the bloodlust? He did. Oh, he pro'd it, and the pro worked. There we go. That makes sense.
Lucas' team is a lot of pro. He does not commit a lot of rerolls to.
It does, yeah. And
So
it's just the.
No.
So we still have 1 GFI with the movement.
Because it's movement 7. He doesn't need to do a GFI. He can just go up.
1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Oh, yeah, you're right. Oh, Glide is KO'd. The hypnogaze working means we can cut through the middle, yeah.
Yeah, so it saves you a GFI, a 2+ with no reroll. And that's the thing with vamps, is you often have an opportunity to, as long as your bloodlusts aren't risky, you have the opportunity to throw some risk-free quote-unquote dice to get a better result potentially.
2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. If we wanted to do it with, we could do 1 GFI to do it with the strength 5 and block, which is what we're doing. So we
Frenzy. Do another. I think the frenzy is the more relevant part.
That's fair.
Doesn't need it though. Gets it on the first go.
And this leaves us with the movement vamp to recover as well.
Yeah, that's the big thing. So it's a 1 GFI.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, 1 GFI to get the ball. And we still have his actual reroll if we fail the bloodlust, which I think you'd probably use, given you can't pick up the ball if you don't. Good on the bloodlust. So now we just have the 2+2+ to get the ball, and we're good. Do you hand off to the strength piece so that it's on the strength 5? Looks like not, but I'm just asking the question, you know.
How would you throw that GFI if you're going to do it?
Well, yeah, I mean, obviously we're not going to because he didn't, but I'm just wondering, you know.
I guess that would have, there was an opportunity if he didn't do that GFI for a red dice surf.
That's fair, yeah.
I think that's what Lumi was worried about there, is the red dice surf.
In either way, it's a 2+ that you have to roll, and this way you don't get surfed. So. Well, this does not look good for Superfed.
No, this is This is a lost drive so far, that's for sure.
Well, I'm just wondering, I'm just looking at the, the wrestle gutter runner. Is there a way to get an uphill in there easily? And the answer is no, not really. I think either way, we have to do a 4+ dodge, just because we're just on the edge of the wrestle's range. You could do it with like the Agi gutter runner pretty easily. As he could either leap or, just dodge into those tackle zones with Agi. But he is not wrestle. Although he does have block, and uphill against no block is pretty likely to work, frankly.
Well, for some values, they're pretty likely, yeah.
Recap, 3-turn game watch recap. LOS blocks did this after Lumi got a perfect D. So Lumi on defense first. Lumi got a perfect D. Tried to make the blocks awkward for Superfed. Superfed still got 3 removals. Lumi put a vampire down here to threaten the ball. Superfed ran around it, passed to a storm vermin, and ultra potatoed. And then Luminous just did a vampire thing and took the ball from the potato, and now has the ball. Oop, sorry, I just had like a big lag spike there and my screen froze and then went weird. We're all good now though, but that is the recap of what happened.
Yeah, it was well, he was under a bit of pressure simply because the things that were moved were thralls and not vampires, and the vampires were all based up. I'm not sure what Fed was thinking specifically, but
well, I think he probably needed to potato or like semi-potato soon. Otherwise, he was just going to be under a whole lot of pressure from vampires who can
backfield and do the kind of gutter thing. Like I'm wondering what his rationale was when you have this many gutters, and in particular you have Skitter. Like you have options to just kind of play the keep away dodgy game, and the Vamps don't have tackle. They don't have a lot of ways of really getting in your way once they're down players. Sure, the vampires are problematic and they're going to tie up line rats, yada yada, but
yeah, he moved up here. I know you can't see it, but for those that are watching, he moved up here with the ball, and it was just super unsafe, and ended up passing to a blitz rat who then potatoed. Whereas he didn't have to move up here. He could have just gone to this back corner, and then nothing could have reached him, or he could have passed a Skitter who was in the middle and run this way, perhaps off to the other side. I don't think Skitter would have been safe that way either, but he probably would have been further away from more Vamps. But he could have just sat in the back corner, and Lumi couldn't have done anything about it. Other than, try to punch rats or whatever, but... So Superfed, not doing a whole lot to go after the ball here. We moved the gutter runners more into the middle as a way of trying to defend against once Luminous comes forward. That wrestle rat is super happy to uphill vampires. It's pretty likely to get the ball off them. And then we can scoop it up with the Agi 5 sure hands and then just leave. It's one of those weird matches where both teams are sort of just better on, at defense.
Oh, for
in a
sure.
way.
Not in a way, just period.
Yeah. I mean, it's hard to call rats bad at offense, but...
Yeah, rats are better at offense than vampires are. Vampires are kind of helpless on offense a lot of the time, but...
Both teams would rather be on defense, I think, is the...
Yes, definitely. Unless you're in the rare rat matchup where you feel like you can out-remove your opponent.
Frenzy getting it done. There we go. Second block getting the KO. And for those of you who are wondering who just got here recently, Superfed has a wizard. He picked up Glart, who is KO'd, and Skitter Stab, as well as a loner line rat to give him a bench of 3. The other thing is Superfed does still have the wizard, still has the wizard. You probably don't want to use it really on your own drive, but it'd be pretty easy to, lightning bolt a vamp and then run away with the ball at some point this half if required.
Yeah, this is the sort of this is the moment where Fed is really upset that he doesn't have strip ball.
This is the moment.
I don't know that song, and I think I'm happy about that.
Neither do I. I don't know that song either. It's just the theme song for Football Manager 2018, and like you hear the first 15 seconds of it when you like load up the game. So I've heard "This is the moment" like 50 times, but never the actual song.
All right.
Yep.
Thank you.
Good story.
Talk. Skitter KO'd. Big deal.
Nice inducements, idiot. Incoming meme, whatever.
Warning, incoming meme.
Well, hey, the only thing that's left is the wizard.
Out there.
The user inputs memes.
There's no way anyone else understands what we're talking about.
Probably not. Reboot. Oh. Well, the removals have certainly changed sides.
Yep. That loner's dead.
Are we going to Appo it?
Can't Apple loners, I don't think.
Can you? I don't know.
I do not believe you can.
I don't play teams that are capable of buying Appos, so it's not something that's ever come across for me before. Because all three of his inducements are currently in the KO box, right? Both star players and a loner line rat. Except that's worse than a loner line rat because it's a real one. He just has the wizard left.
I don't think the loner line rat wasn't an inducement, was it?
Well, he had a bench of 3 and induced 2 star players, so he would have, in order to get a bench of 3, he would have had to get a line rat, right? Because he would have had a bench of 2 if he only got the 2 star players. Because he's under 11 players, so the loners fill it up, and then he gets 2 star players to put him at 13. And then 14 is the loner.
Yeah, Fed not getting her done.
Not anymore. The first turn was really good for him, and since then, it has not. Although, like, the potato was kind of weird. I mean, I'm sure he had a plan in mind for what he was trying to do with that, or like, I'm sure the plan wasn't, I'm going to potato and see what happens. I'm sure it was probably, I feel safe doing this, or if it fails, I'm not too upset about it because I think I can defend kind of thing. But then suddenly the removals have kind of gone the other way, and he's starting to run out of players, which is not how you would have wanted this to go. I was going to say, why isn't he Agi 4? But that would have failed anyway. It was a 1. Having, Storm Vermin memes or whatever. But it was a 1, so it wouldn't have worked anyway. So, does Lumi... I mean, Lumi is going to want to score here, given that it's really good for him to do so. But he's also just super safe staying where he is and never moving. So, are you okay going into your drive 0-0? Or would you much rather make this 1-0?
Especially given your numbers advantage. Like, if you can eat the wizard here and go 0-0, I think you're extra happy. So the thing that you have to keep in mind is, like, odds are you don't score because you're vampires versus rats with a wizard, but you need to eat the wizard and you need to eat it in a way that it doesn't give the rats a score most of the time.
Yeah, and the best way to do that is to get within scoring range to try to bait out the wizard and keep trying to remove rats so that they can't have, like, the full pitch distance ability in one turn with 2 gutter runners in a handoff.
Yeah, so you need to keep an eye on where the rats are, and
I think Rex has the right idea in that we probably want to try to foul that Palmer. No Hypno Gaze. I mean, probably worth it. We base up both rats, and if the Hypno Gaze worked, we don't need to blitz that loner to do a bigger foul. If it doesn't work, we can just blitz that loner to do a bigger foul if that's what the plan is. It's one of the things I like about watching Lumi play Vamps is that he always has, like, he'll Hypno Gaze literally every time he activates a Vamp, pretty much. Unless it's important that he's not based against someone. And, there's almost always, this is what happens if it works, and this is what happens if it doesn't. He's very good at getting, like, a little bit of extra value out of Hypno Gaze. Ooh. Are we going to reroll that? Or just take the push? We're going to just take the push. Don't want to take the both down on the wrestle. Him not being on the floor makes this an interesting choice, too.
Yeah.
Because if you're going to want to move forward, given most of your players are up there. Another Hypnogaze failure. If you stay where you are, though, you can get... Did he Hypnogaze the one on the floor? He Hypnogazed the Storm Vermin on the floor. I don't know what that's for.
Me neither.
I don't understand. I don't think that does anything.
It doesn't do anything. Spoilers.
Maybe if you're like, Hypnogaze, you're easier to foul.
Don't try this.
You're not paying attention, so you won't get fouled. Or you will get fouled. If he stays where he is, the Wrestle Rat can just uphill him, and he will, because it's pretty likely to uphill with Wrestle. If he moves forward, it's almost worse in that the Wrestle Rat has an easier time, and there's a Agi Rat to recover. I think the intent was definitely to Hypnogaze the loners that we had assists, but he misclicked it. It's very likely what that was. Yeah, so we elected to just stay back.
Yeah, I think we're going for a yeet play. Because there are no gutters in scoring range right now, which is the real concern.
Yeah, if there ever is one, you have to be ultra careful. Although Superfed can just, click rat, click ball here and get like a, 50-ish% chance to put the ball on the floor. And now it's even better given that it's a 1-die. No, it's still not. Rats are strength 2. We can make it a 1-die though if we move the recovery threat up there as well. But given that we can't score this turn, I think just having all of the rats up there is fine. Like, it's not like you need to recover and score this turn because you can't, so you might as well just have your rats up in that position if you're going to go for it. This looks like he is, though, given that this is a now 1-die.
No, I mean, it's a red die. Oh, no, it is a 1-die. You're right. Math.
Although he gets the one result that doesn't do it.
No, and push doesn't do it either.
I know. But when you're looking for a both down or a pow and you roll a stumbles, that certainly doesn't feel very good.
So you wanted a 5 or a 6 or a 2 and you got a 5. It does feel a little bit awkward, but it's also a weird way of thinking about dice, mister. I have stats degrees.
How is that a weird way of thinking about dice?
It's exactly like saying, like, oh, I snaked it when it was a 1 in 9, right? It doesn't matter what the result is.
Yeah, I mean, that's true. It just feels bad. But I do that all the time when I, like...
I feel bad.
I know it's the wrong way to think about dice when I, like, fail something and go back and say, what if I did that other thing? Oh, that would have failed anyway. Like, it makes me feel better, but I know it's stupid. Like, I'm very aware of what it is, but it does make me feel better knowing that it wouldn't have worked or whatever.
Cut off the vamp from the rest of the team to a very limited degree. And, be very blitzable, and that'll sort it out. But
well, that's a pretty big commitment from Superfed now. Like, all his rats are up there. Do you consider the end of turn wizard and pray you armor break? Like, I don't think it's great, but all Luminous has to do next turn is 2+ dodge away and 2+ pass, and then Superfed can't do anything.
Well, I mean, I think you actually are supposed to dodge the gutter runner out to at least get in his way, and then do this dodge to screen off, but it doesn't matter because he fell over.
Because this is like a 2+, 2+, 2+, and then the rats can't do anything.
The 8+ armor break is such a game lose, like 40, like.
Well, you don't even have to pray for the armor break. You just need him to not have the ball.
Yeah, but in most of the time, that scatter is into a place where, well, I mean, I guess if it scatters out, it's bad. So 1 and 3, it's pretty bad.
3 and 8.
So 3 and 8 is catastrophic. 2 of 8 are decent in that you have 2 tackle zones in the ball, and then 2 of 8 are good, and then
Yeah.
1 is a scatter, which could go a lot of different ways.
I don't think it is a good option. It just was an option that some people certainly would have considered. Darkest Dung is raiding with a party of 3. I often see them in Ellie's streams. Welcome along. We're watching Superfed and Luminous in REL 1. It's a pretty big deal. Both players are within a win of each other for first and second place for REL 1. With 2 matches, this match and 1 more to go says a lot about playoffs, certainly.
Yeah. I think I figured out how Lumi beats teams without tackle, and it's just roll pass.
Yeah, easy. Just roll 6s. Like, no one told you that before?
No. No one. I didn't have a mentor in Rookie League, so.
So now we have a 2+ Bloodlust, 2+ Pass, 2+ Catch, and then Run. In fact, the Bloodlust doesn't even really matter because we can go bite the leader thrall that we just moved in there. Right, he's moved exactly 7 squares away. So we can move, we have to roll 0 dice to get the ball here. It is Luminous and Superfed. Luminous Light, Superfed TV. From REL 1. Superfed is in first place right now with the rats. I can tell you the record if you care.
I also don't like my leader, but I think Lumi is happy to go 1 up on his defensive drive. So
there was a update to Rebel.net like today, and it has me all sort of screwy. There's like new drop-down menus for navigation and stuff.
I didn't like the way the drop-downs worked. Well, the lack of drop-downs, I should say, and that was a fair point because they were weird. People complain about not understanding how the navigational bar worked all the time.
I like them. It just, when I was going to set up for the stream and navigate to the right page, suddenly everything looked different. I was like, whoa, wait, where do I click? And it took me 10 seconds to parse it or whatever. Superfed is currently 7-2-2 with 23 points, and Luminous is 6-2-3 with 20 points. So and they're in first and tied for second respectively. So it's a pretty big one.
So Fed has negative options here. He's just going to blitz a thrall. He's going to blitz the leader thrall, in fact.
Sometimes you just got to bite things, Yeah, it was his only thrall that he could bite, and he put him here so that he had an option to bite him in case something failed, because he would have rather have had the reroll for the pass and catch, which didn't have anything built into it. So it's just a way of removing a potential reroll use, which I think is good. Yeah, Fed kind of put all his eggs in one basket with the sack attempt there, and it was kind of unfortunate that it didn't work out for him.
Yeah, I mean, he was in a position where I like his resource commitment on this. I think that committing the wizard was definitely a mistake.
I agree.
And I'm glad he didn't. But I think that he did all that he could to kind of put his hopes on a 5+ working out. And when it didn't, well, that's where he's at.
Yeah. Sometimes, I think Superfed has said it himself. He respects the coach that knows when to roll the 5+. Oh man, he's gonna watch this and hate me for that one.
Yeah, that's it. I think that anyone calling this game over is
wrong.
Yeah, like anytime a vamp team goes up 1-0 into their offensive drive is just a time for them to start vamping themselves to death.
You mean that's a typical vamp game? Like, they're good at defense, it turns out.
So Fed hoping to force a not doing it with those dice. Yeah, this is Fed pausing and sighing deeply to himself. You can feel it through the stream.
He sinks ever deeper into his armchair.
Yeah, exactly.
Slump.
I've been there. It's okay, Fed.
So it's Luminous's defensive drive, so Fed won't get the opportunity to one turn here if we manage to stall till 8.
Yeah, with that lack of knockdown, I think stalling till 8 is possible, though it's getting a little risky.
Although it's probably, especially like with the The wizard, I mean, it's unlikely that Superfed uses the wizard to stop it, but it's something that you can't ignore, right?
It's a possibility, yeah, for sure.
But the other thing is, I think you'd almost would you rather go into your drive 1-1 or 0-0, right? Because
I think you'd rather go into your drive. Well, so the thing here to consider is that Fed does have a scoring threat. So what Lumi has to respect is that, yeah, sure, he doesn't want to give the rats 2 turns to score, but also if he fucks this up and doesn't get the...
quad skulls.
Ooh,
nope.
That's interesting.
That is interesting.
Wow. So the rats are in a position right now to bolt, recover, pass, and then potentially score.
Yeah.
It's a fucking long shot, to say the least. But they could do it.
Yeah, it's on the table.
Yeah. So that threat is what Fed, I think, is hoping will force Lumi to give him 2 turns to score. Of course, giving Cats 2 turns to score is never a great move.
Especially when they have a natural 1-turner.
I mean, I've never seen Fed 1 turn, so I'm hesitant to call it
that. He did in his last game. He 1-turned with the natural 1-turner in last week's game. Right, so like leaving Fed with any turns other than 0 it's not guaranteed, but it's very likely that he counter scores and you go into your drive 1-1. But if you try to stall till turn 8, there's a small chance that Fed could make it 1-0, but it's probably more likely that you just end up 0-0. The other thing is, though, if we try to stall till turn 8, we bait out the wizard and it doesn't work, we end 0-0 and Superfed doesn't have a wizard anymore, which is like...
Okay, what you can do here is you... Okay, that KO makes things a little tiny bit more awkward, but not really. So you're basically looking at a bolt into a 3+ dodge with a storm vermin to recover. 3+ pickup, 4+ pass. I think you might have to do some GFIs to make that a 4+ pass into a 2+ catch. No, because you're not in handoff range. Oh no, you are.
You are.
And then you hand off to the wrestle on a 3. No, you hand off to the wrestle on a... Yeah, no, that's actually getting... The more I look at this...
You could hand off to the Storm Vermin on a 4, and then he has to roll less dice. Everybody has to roll less dice.
I guess. I don't know. That's not ideal, to say the least.
No. I mean, you could also just try to set it up for next turn, and you give Luminous the option of, am I willing to force the... we're just going to try the 3+ sack here, which I think is a good call now. And then next turn, we still have the option of the wizard if we have to. But I think trying to stall till turn 8, no matter what, is the right choice for Luminous, because
there's no 1-turn option, right? Of course. This is really all or nothing. Doesn't get him down. Juggernaut does sandwich him, but it's not going to work against vampires. And the vampires aren't totally in range because they're pretty slow.
Well, one can move up and we can Hypnogaze, and then another one can just blitz the Gutter Runner, right? Although we don't have Tackle, so it's probably better to blitz the Storm Vermin and Hypnogaze the Gutter Runner, or try Hypnogazing both of them, frankly. We have enough vampires. Although Superfed is definitely going to want to activate that lineman at least, so that the vampire will have to dodge.
No, I mean, I think you dodge the lineman out. He's doing nothing other than forcing a 2+ with a built-in reroll where he is.
Yeah, you have to do don't forget to do something with them. That's what I'm saying. And we'll probably dodge out that Gutter Runner and keep him in scoring range closer to the right side of the pitch.
I think you activate him, but I think you dodge him out and screen to do something in terms of a screen. Yeah, this is where I'd expect the Gutter Runner to go, exactly in scoring range.
Yeah.
Put him as max movement just above the Storm Vermin, so it makes the Hypnogaze a little bit harder.
And this is also so now we have this Storm Vermin is an intermediate piece, and he's that we can hand off to and then pass and hand off, or whatever, like a chain. And he's also marking up the one thrall that's available to bite. So Luminous is going to have to commit rerolls to Bloodlust if he fails them. So like just taking away the reliability of Luminous's pieces, so he might fail a thing, is what Superfed is doing with that.
The failed dodge does make that a lot less likely.
Yeah, so Luminous can score now and give Superfed the 1 turn, which is we're probably going 1-1 to the next half. He could
reroll. It's not a done deal at all.
No, but it's not unlikely, right?
It's like a 50-50 probably.
It's not unlikely.
Sure.
The other thing we can do is try to stall to turn 8, which might involve getting wizarded. That's really hard to say, if that's the right way to say it.
The wizard.
Yeah, it might use the wizard, and then it's possible that Superfed scores off of that as well, which is a little scary. But the best case out of that is you finish 0-0 and Superfed no longer has a wizard. The worst case is you go down 0-1 into your drive, and Superfed no longer has a wizard. Whereas the best case, if you score now, which is not trivial, is you're 1-0 and 50-50 to be 1-1. Like, it's not an easy decision to make, I think. You could there are 2 scoring threats for the Skaven, but it's not really likely for the Line Rat to get it, given that he's much further away. You could do what I think Mr. Christie is suggesting, hypnoing the Gutter Runner. Wolfbark suggests blitzing the Wrestle Gutter Runner, and I think that makes a lot of sense. If you blitz the Wrestle Gutter Runner and put him on the out of scoring range, the score is pretty unlikely for Superfed, and you're likely to get my outcome that I suggested earlier, which is 0 at worst case 0-0, potentially with Superfed having used the wizard, and best case 1-0, which I think is a pretty good outcome. One hit Mogaze to make the 2+ dodge, or to make the 2+ dodge at the back, and then we hand off to the other vampire and run him to the far other corner to try and make the recovery as difficult as possible. Right, so now the best recovery for Superfed is the movement 8 rat.
I mean, the movement 8 rat is not physically in range.
Well, yeah, exactly. There you go. So the best recovery is a loner lineman, which makes the score for Superfed really unlikely. The downside of this is he's not going to use the wizard because there's almost no way he can score off it. The upside is you probably score.
I mean, I think you always score, pretty much.
I mean, it's theoretically possible that he doesn't, but yeah.
I'd throw the bolt and then red dies the dodge vamp to death? I don't know.
I mean, you could throw the bolt and then try to just dodge out the loner and pick it up, but that's not really great. Yeah, I wasn't thinking about that. I didn't even think about that either, but I think this is really good.
No, this drive is open. He's not going to bolt.
No, definitely not. Well, he already can't.
Well, he can. It just would be a terrible idea.
Try to palm a vampire?
One die palm?
That won't do it.
I mean, I guess the good news is that the Strength 5 Frenzy has the ball, so you're not getting served, but that's about the only good news for Fed.
Yeah, and given that Luminous still has a free thrall and 2 rerolls, I'd be surprised if he doesn't take one, the greed blitz on something.
Fouls the DP. I don't hate this. Good snake bloodlust. That's true. We always need to keep in mind that vamps can still vamp themselves.
That's very true. It is on a vamp that doesn't have pro, so it's a 1 in 36 and not any better than that.
I like to say that elves are always a snake from losing the game, but vamps are always a snake from denying themselves a tie, in my experience.
So he's doing what Rex says. So he's bringing up this thrall. So if he snakes the bloodlust, he can go bite that thrall and hand off to the movement one.
Point. Doesn't snake it though.
Nope. But he could have, if he snaked the bloodlust, he could have bit that thrall and handed off the ball to the movement one or whatever.
This is what you're telling me.
To try and score. Wait, you cut out there?
I said what you're saying is he would still need, if he snaked 2 bloodlusts, he could still fail.
Yes, that's true. He'd have to snake 2.
So 4 2+s in a row.
Well, there'd be a handoff in there at some point that you'd have to pass, so it would be two ones, a 2, and then 2 1s is the worst probably you could do there. All right, KOs, what are they doing? 3 are back. And Luminous is stay out, so the thrall game is low. Thrall game is weak. I think they'll leave Superfed with a full team.
Yes, because he has a bench. He's even got more than a full team.
He does. And we're now on Luminous's drive. Rats have a full team and a wizard.
I still think Rats win this most of the time, for the record.
Yeah, no, I don't think you're wrong. It's not even remotely over, and it's not even remotely in the bag for the vampires, certainly. It's just that half went, pretty well for him. It could have gone better, could have gone worse.
Yeah, but the Rats have a wizard and a one-turner, so...
If Luminous could have gotten the wizard out of Superfed there, I think that would have been, you could call it a win of a half. But he didn't manage to do that. Or Superfed kept a hold of it.
I think it's still... It's tough to call a defensive half where you go 1-0 against your opponent anything but a win. But it's Rats are never out of the game, and in particular, Rats with a wizard are never out of the game. Yeah, no, it's definitely still a great half. Yeah,
it's not bad in any sense of the word.
We'll call it not ideal, but not not far from it.
If you wanted to be if you wanted to be confident about the game going into this half, it would have been better if he had used the wizard. It's hard to say that was a bad half, but it would also be hard to say that Luminous would be confident about winning this at this point. Is that fair?
Sure. I think he wins this game, a little over half the
time. Did Glart come back, or is he? No, Glart's the one that stayed KO'd. So we have Skitter back, but Glart is still out. So that leaves. So Superfed is going to be playing with 3 gutters because he has sat his one turner. Yeah, that's a good way of putting it. High kick. Nope.
Yeah, I call this 60-40 for vamps. To put entirely meaningless numbers to it, which is...
Yeah, that's the name of the game, man. It's Blood Bowl. Yeah. Everything is entirely meaningless numbers.
Being a little too careful with the one turn, especially given it against a team with no tackle and no mighty blow.
One down. Does that put them on even footing? Yeah, they're both at 10 now. Luminous started this drive down 1 player.
It's true that he's effectively locked, so even if he loses here and loses in the next 2 weeks, he makes it 99.99% of the time. So it's fair to say that Fed might not be looking at this game as a must-win.
It's definitely not a must-win. He's not mathematically locked, but he is for all intents and purposes. It's there's a less than 1% chance that he could finish in 6th place. Yes, and the bye week for first certainly is something to consider. So So like even if he loses this game, what happens is that he's now tied for first with Luminous, and there's still a week to go. And I don't know what his last match is. That's probably worth checking because he might feel, more or less confident about that. Like if it's against a lower div or lower team.
Top spot of REL 1 will get a bye week, which is really nice.
Oh, his last week is against Stouticus and Grungy Desserts, which is you probably want the bye week. Let's put it that way.
Yeah. Probably wants the MNG clear and the opportunity to make some cash to buy our line rats.
Yeah. Oops, sorry about that. A little alt tab mistake there. For those of you who are unaware, Stouticus's Grungy Desserts are like a 2300 Nurgle team. And that's who Superfed plays next week. I mean, rats probably beat Nurgle, especially with that many inducements. You are probably not coming out of it without some dead rats, though. So the bye week is certainly not something that you would hate. And that's probably where the small percent chance comes from, because Stouticus and Luminous are two of the other playoff contending coaches. So if he loses to both of them, they both win their other matches, some other weird stuff happens. I'm sure it's theoretically possible. But it's gotta have, like, every match has to go an exact specific way for him to not make it. I think even a tie here would lock him.
I mean, 99.99 sounds like any non-loss would lock him 100% of the time.
Yeah, I've run the simulation-y thing a couple times, and I've seen everything from 99.98 to 100, so it's all but locked.
Say that he is locked. He's not locked in first position, though. That is no, he's not. Do you follow this up for the pylon?
Is the dirty player thrall in the field? I guess the answer is yes.
Fed might be thinking he needs to do that no matter what at this point.
The dirty player thrall is not on the field, so you probably don't. You're not too scared of getting fouled. Well, this will be a weird one for the YouTube upload because I'm so used to editing very particular things out, but we're just not doing a normal recap, so there you go.
It's fine, I think. This is what the people wanted at the end of the day. That's what we're here for.
That's very true. Oh, I'm not upset that we're doing this. I'm just thinking about what I have to do tomorrow and how this changes my life. Not significantly. But it turns out even a non-significant change is enough to bother me because I am a creature of habit, to say the least.
Yeah, that's definitely true.
Normally we order food on Thursdays for dinner. We ordered out today, and I was stressed out for a good portion of the day about what we were going to order because it was different than the normal day and it had my brain all wrong.
Okay, yeah, no, you have a problem.
Yeah. I mean, there's certainly a bunch of other things that contributed and added to that, but I'm one of those people where a whole bunch of little things being different or weird can make me feel unhappy. Right? It's all very minor things that I can easily deal with because,
Yeah, I mean, I see that when I come to visit too. You're like, this is very exciting, and I will book off a week to hang out with you, and then 3 or 4 days into hang out, you're like, you have occupied my space enough now, and I wish you to leave.
That's fair. Yeah. It's mostly about a whole bunch, if a whole bunch of little things add up, I get overwhelmed easily, is probably the best way of putting it. Individually, they're not important, but when a lot of little things are annoying or different or throwing me off my normal day, it gets really overwhelming. I'm sure someone out there can armchair diagnose me with something, but I don't really care that much.
No.
There are 2 hypno-gazed rats currently. Neither of them are important. You know, Vamps feel... I've never played Vamps, but Vamps feel to me like they would sort of suffer from like the kind of necro undead sort of thing, where even if you have a lot of players, it feels like you don't, because so much of your like important actions have to be done by a limited set of positionals.
Yeah. I play a little bit of Vamps. Mostly you just feel like there's never a turn where you, unless all of your Vamps are stunned or removed, there's never a turn where you start and you're like, well, I can't hit the ball this turn. But the pile of 3+ between you and the ball is usually insurmountable.
Yeah, I mean, I'm normally, when I play like Nurgle or Undead or the normal teams that I play, you know, pretty much you look at the, can I hit the ball? Does it involve like more than a 3+ and 2 GFIs? If so, I probably don't do it, right? If it's less than that, you do it every time. But just like, it feels, you know, because Undead and sort of Necro have that kind of thing where like, you may have exactly the same amount of players as your opponent, but it feels like you don't, because you don't have, you know, 11 whites, right? And you feel like you need to do the things with your whites and your ghouls and stuff. It's like, where are all my players? It's like, well, they're movement 4 and marked up on other things. That's what it is. No, that makes sense. But I don't play vampires, so I don't really know. But I've
only played a beer league, so it's almost like not playing vampires.
But I've definitely run into that feeling as Undead. I'm like, man, I feel like I can't do anything. And like you have like, oh, I have 10 players and so do they. Like, oh. I guess I'm just wrong. But we have a lot of the rats are pretty committed to one side, but that's not really bad, given that they're so speedy. This one line rat being hypno-gazed is a little awkward, because you can't free him up by like blitzing with the floor from the storm vermin.
Yeah.
And because he's not an assist currently, like you have to activate him to make them the assist, and then you can't move him after you free him up.
Yeah, that is the thing about vampires, is they can really deprive you of resources, even though they deprive themselves of a lot of resources.
Yeah, and it's another reason like they can make things like 2 turns pretty awkward just by doing stuff like this, where the hypno gaze means you have to activate before you can do stuff. But you see
a lot.
You see this exact thing happen here, right? The storm vermin just stands up. He doesn't really want to have to 3+ dodge before he does anything else, but it doesn't free up the line rat to blitz him, and otherwise it's uphill, so we just end up standing there and having 2 players do literally nothing with this turn.
Get her blitz!
Is it a blitz stab? I hope it is. It is.
100%. That's a second stab failure.
I mean, yeah, it's blodge step. Like, actually blitzing him when it's an uphill is definitely not really going to accomplish much, whereas the stab is way more likely. Although not terribly likely with it being a 9+, but more likely than double uphill pows. We can't forget that Superfed does still have the wizard. We could 1-die the block vampire with the rookie Hypnogaze lineman if we want to. Doesn't really accomplish much right now, but it potentially frees up the storm vermin for next turn. But we'll dodge out the other gutter runner first. Just a push on baked potato. But that does mean that Baked Potato is going to have to do a 3+ to position himself anywhere other than where he is, which does reduce the options of biting targets for the Vamps if they happen to fail Bloodlusts. So Luminous has a pretty easy for vampires, given you don't feel bloodlust, score here, if he wants to take it. 2-0 up, where rats are, where you're pretty good on defense and rats feel pressured to score if they want to win. Might not be the worst plan. The rats do get the one turn attempt in this half, though, on turn 16, if everything just goes sort of shootout style.
Yeah, I mean, if the vamps go up 2-0, I think that the odds of the rats securing a victory decrease significantly.
Yeah, like a tie is still pretty on the table, but the rats winning is quite a bit harder. So do you take the score now? I mean, we could blitz Skitter with the movement 7 vamp, and then we just go hand off to him and score. Well, maybe not, unless we reroll that Bloodlust. We do not. But we can bite the leader thrall. Ooh, is the block awkward here? I didn't count the movement. Does the block make it so he can't actually reach the thrall easily if he takes the both down?
But that's the worst of it. I think you take it either way.
There we go. And Skitter is out again, this time forever.
Forever.
Yep. Yeah, the both down made that weird. He would have had to, like, dodge through to try to bite that thrall. So now if we want to score, we hand off to the movement and then go score. Oh. We have to use the real reroll on that, so if we Bloodlust here, we can't score, because we'll have to bite. But we do not Bloodlust. I mean, technically he could have tried to pro it and then scored anyway, but it was possible that he wouldn't score there.
So now rats are either 1-turning or 2-turning, I'd say.
Yeah, given that they're under a lot of pressure. I feel like, I mean, I don't play rats, so maybe I don't have the right, like, strategy mindset for it. But I feel like given that vampires are pretty good on defense, like, 1-turning is probably the right choice.
Vamps don't have great tools to stop a rat 2-turn necessarily. Well, no, they do, I guess.
Well, given that he's only... So he's only going to have 2 gutter runners to be, like, scoring threats, because one of them will presumably recover the ball. So blitzing one and hypnogazing the other certainly makes a 2-turn awkward, and then the rats are really out of position. I don't know what choice you make here. I have no idea. We'll see what he does, but I think those are probably what most people would aim for, is either the 1-turn or the 2-turn.
I think well, given that he put vamps in the line, the 2-turn gets a lot more attractive. They're only going to have easy access to 1 vampire per side.
That's true.
Do you do it? I still might 1-turn.
I mean, because vampires are fairly good on... Like, if you fail the 2-turn, you just lose, right? I mean, I suppose you still have a number of turns left. If you fail the 2-turn and can make it a 3-turn, you probably still have a chance. But I think the play that gives you the best chance of winning this is 1-turning here, and then using the wizards to turn over the vamps score, and then you're tied. And then even if the vampires do score again, you have a reasonable chance to tie it up with a 1-turn on 16. Or maybe by then they will have eaten through some of their thralls and you can turn them over and win. Looks like Superfed is setting up for the 1-turn, so perhaps he agrees. We don't have a good way of blitzing a complete hole through this, given the... Oh no, we have guard. We can 1-die a hole through this. By taking the guard. I didn't see the guard. So we take the guard Stormroom in and put him in here. and we can one die the vamp, or we can just a push is good enough to have the whole sideline free for no dodges for the one turn. Here we go. Incoming rock on the one turner. That's not a rock. One, two, three, four, five, six, seven, eight. So we can get in range of the one turner, so we don't have to pass or anything. Just hand off. So we have a 2+2+, and then the 3 GFIs with rerolls built in for the GFIs. I think this still leaves you with a 2+ dodge as part of the one turn, but it also gives you a piling on hit against armor 7 as part of it, which feels like a good trade-off to me. Because you're also more likely to get the knockdown given that it would be a 2-die, whereas this was a... or no, he did a... Was that a 1? Oh, no, he got a 2-die. Whereas the pushing the vampire out of the way is a 1-die. Hello, Zoom has followed.
I have returned.
I didn't know you were gone.
Oh, I did say I was leaving.
Oh, I didn't listen. First 2+, reroll the sure hands. Second 2+, don't have catch for this one. It's good. Now we have a 2+ with dodge and 3 2+s with sure feet. We could have done this in a slightly different way, where we pushed the vamp out of the way instead and not had to roll the dodge. But the dodge is a 2+ with a built-in reroll, and the block on the vamp would have been a 1-die. So it's probably pretty similar in terms of numbers. And this way, you also got to do a piling on Mighty Blow hit on an armor 7 thrall. So I think it's a worthwhile trade. For those of you who are potentially just joining us, this is Luminous Light playing the Vampires, and Superfed TV playing the Rats. It is REL 1 in REBBL, so the top division in the North American time zones, match between first and second place, with the second last match of the season. So it is very important in terms of playoffs. Both of them are pretty likely to make playoffs, given that they're first and second place, but first in the division is on the line, and first in the division offers you a MNG clear, basically, in a bye week in the first round of the playoffs, which is certainly pretty valuable. Plus, it's it's the 2 top coaches in the top division, so it's going to be a fun one to watch, which is why we're here. That's a riot.
That is good for...
I don't know. I don't know who that's good for.
I think.
Yeah, I think you're probably right. So I think Luminous is going to want to score in however many turns it takes to score safely, whether that's 2, 3, 4, whatever. You just want to get another one. Whereas Superfed is aiming to use the wizard turn the wizard into a touchdown here to try to get to turn 16 tied, I think. Because then, worst case, you can attempt to one turn again and probably finish off with the tie. Best case, you probably win. Superfed now down 1, I believe. Yeah, he had a bench of 3, and the 2 KOs being out means he is at 10 players. And Luminous is back up to 11 with that KO returning. Thank you. Still have all the vampires. Good complement of thralls. The wrestle tackle going out so early has certainly been annoying, or like is something you would have thought would be annoying. But Luminous seems to be dealing with it pretty well. Just rolling pows, you know. Thrall screen. It is interesting that he is carrying on the vampire who is sort of the most likely to be knocked down by a wild gutter runner, as it were. Being that he doesn't have block. Right, so this one has strength 5. Which makes the random uphill from a gutter runner actually a 3-die uphill. The other two have blodge step, or the other two have blodge step. But Kim Jong-uni has leveled with his touchdown this game. So I would imagine he gets blocked next. We've also seen a level from Superfed, a Vandy pass on turn 1 to level up Eden Sin, the sacker. Or I'd expect some other sacker related skills depending on what his next matchup is. Strip ball, dauntless, tackle. His next match is actually Nurgle, and if I recall correctly, that Nurgle team doesn't have a ball carrier. So it's strip ball would probably be pretty useful in that matchup, given that I don't think there's sure hands. You say you're back, but you're not talking. I think it's just because you're eating.
You're not wrong.
There you go. I hear the crunch in the when you open your mic. Dirty player is KO'd. Evens up the player count for now anyway. The other option, or the other reason why he may be carrying on that vampire is just that the wizard, right? One of them, it's pretty likely that the wizard comes out sometime this game, given that there is a wizard.
Wow.
Wonderful ups. I was gonna say sometime this half, but like that's also obvious. And then my next thought would be in the next few turns, but that's also obvious. There's only 3 turns left. And then like my brain couldn't think of a new thing to say fast enough that wasn't stupid, so I just said another stupid thing. Like,
I like you a lot.
My first thought was this half. I'm like, well, duh. And I went in the next couple turns. Oh wait, that doesn't make sense either. So I just brain couldn't catch up. So the wizard is going to hit the guy with the ball. Is the point of this? And then we have the better ball carriers to have the ball afterwards once he gets wizarded. But normally you see that kind of play with less agi teams that have like a dedicated ball carrier with sure hands or what have you, and you carry on the non-sure hands so that when he gets lightning bolted you have the sure hands to pick up afterwards. It doesn't matter so much on vampires, and they're all agi 4 and none of them have sure hands anyway. There are the gutter runner threats though. We have the sacker and the high movement piece very close to this ball, and we have the leap agi piece off to the other side. One thought here might be just to give it to the strength piece, because the only real threat to take away the ball from you would be the leap agi piece, and that's a 3-die uphill. But then the strength piece just gets wizarded, and that leap agi piece picks up the ball and leaves. So you'll need to be really careful about your positioning if you decide to do that. But you also just don't want to stay where you are, because you are going to get... Superfed is going to click on that gutter runner and click on the ball. So I'm interested to see what Luminous does here.
Yeah, so what's normally nice about the whole, like, alternative ball carrier play is that you force your opponent to carry on something without your hands, and you have a strip ball piece. But Fed is lacking that, so he doesn't have that leverage.
No. And like Luminous could do something where he carries on the strength 5, and then the Gutter Runner like dives are 3 diapils. But the wizard doesn't care about your block dice, and he just wizard the strength 5. So I like this this positioning from Superfed, right? If Luminous stays where he is, he's going to get wrestled, or like blitzed by the wrestle piece. If he moves forward, he's going to get wizarded, and then the Agi piece is available to recover. You could attempt to blitz him, and if you put him on the floor, maybe you have some safer places to go. You could also just hypnogaze him, potentially, but that's less good because he's going to be able to dodge or leap away from that. We do hypnogaze Proxy Page, and then we're going to dodge out with the strength piece to 3-die the Gutter Runner. Just a push is not what we wanted out of that. We do get to try again, though, and that'll do it. No armor break, though, means that we still have a large amount of the field in range of that recovery piece. We could give it to the block vampire and then put him on the sidelines, and then the recovery piece couldn't get to it unless the ball scatters 3 and 8 to the right. However, that also gives you the 3 and 8 for it to scatter out, and that is pretty bad given that there's like probably about 16 squares on the entire pitch that can't be reached by a Gutter Runner. So I don't think that is a good choice, because it leaves you with a 1/4 chance of the ball being perfectly safe, and 3 and 8 of it just being a couple dice rolls away for the Rats.
I like the way you did that. I think it's actually fewer than 16, like significantly, but you did like a very engineering thing where you got it like, probably within a factor of 2.
Well, yeah, I just sort of picked, like, I figured it was likely just this one entire sideline row that the rat on the floor couldn't reach, and then figured, that's about 13 squares. Some of them are going to get reached by the Gutter Runners up north, but those Gutter Runners also probably can't reach the whole right side, so it's going to be within, plus or minus 5 squares.
That plus movement Gutter Runner up at the top there can reach almost all of the squares in the pitch.
Oh, that's a good point. So I think it's 4 squares. There are 5? I think there are 5 squares that cannot be reached by a Gutter Runner that the vampires can get to. Oh wait, no, it's the back line too. So it's the whole touchdown line, which is the width of the pitch, plus 4. Now I need to know the answer, because I'm interested. Fish and chips is sent off.
Snakes.
I think it's 19 squares. I think there are 19 squares in the pitch that the Rats can't reach. And it's the back touchdown line and then the 4 squares on this side that are mutually not reachable by Marley Bricks.
Very, very easy for the Rats to score this one.
Yes, it is. So we knew this was going to happen. I mean, if you were going to run with that block piece, you probably should have just accepted that there's a chance for it to go really badly and put him on the sidelines, because then at least there's a 1/4 that the Rats can't reach it. There's a 3 and 8 for it to scatter out, and then 18 squares that they can't reach. And there's the other 3 and 8 are at least double GFIs for the Agi Rat, who then has to throw it from where he is.
For all now, so that's something. This is going to be a 3 or a 4 plus pass, probably a 3 plus pass.
If we're willing to roll 2 GFIs, there is a vampire intercept threat in 2 tackle zones, and a 3 plus pass, I think, given that he's Agi 5. It's a 8 square pass if we roll the 2 GFIs. Although in general, it's not better to roll 2 GFIs to make the pass 1 better. It is worth it to make the pass 1 better to roll 1 GFI, however.
It depends on how bad the pass is.
That's probably fair. So now I think it's a 4 plus or 3 plus from where it is.
3 plus. I don't want to count, but
Agi
5 is cheating.
You probably want to throw it to the movement guy, because if you throw it to the wrestle guy, I think the thrall or the other vampire can try to intercept it, and he's only in one tackle zone. Whereas if you throw it to the movement guy, oh no, the vampire is just out of range. Intercepts are always weird. Well, never mind. He got it anyway. There's the 6. I mean, Superfed did that right. I mean, he set up he put 2 tackle zones on the intercept threat that he knew was going to be there. And then, it was a -4 on a 3+. That's a 6, and we just rolled the 6. Well, there goes the wizard. Oh man, Luminous immediately double skulls in response. I don't know if I've ever seen a vampire intercept before. I know it's very possible, but I don't think I've seen that animation before. They just kind of float up in the air and then float back down. Well, that's certainly an exciting moment. I think the only time I've ever intercepted things has been with rotters. I think it's Herringzord that likes to say, why would you throw it over the Tomb Guardian? Look how tall he is. Of course he's going to intercept it. Nothing goes over my head. I would catch it. So we absolutely knew the lightning bolt was coming out that turn. I wonder if there's something else Luminous could have done to make that. I mean, he intercepted anyway, so it's kind of irrelevant. But I'm just thinking back to the turn before, like, is there anything he could have done to have made that lightning bolt either less likely or not willing to be used?
I mean, I think you called it in that I think he had to kind of go for the sideline play if he wanted to make it truly risky for the Rats, but this worked out. So let's results-based analysis this and call it a win. That's
fair. I mean, the downside for the sideline thing is if it does scatter out, it could mean no dice for the Rats to score. But it's like a 3 and 8 for no dice, and it's a 5 and 8 for a large number of dice. So I don't know if that's better than just the 100% chance for some dice. And you'd have to go through literally all the possibilities to figure that out, and I am not doing that.
Wuss.
But it does come down to, like, small chance of no dice, large chance of many dice versus 100% chance of some dice. Well, Luminous doesn't have a scoring threat and didn't get one that turn, so he's just going hard on try to protect ball here, given that the wizard is now gone.
Yeah, I mean, we're looking at a 5+ cage dive, 4+ with the 2 heads,
and that's not bad, because if he tries to go forward and leaves his ball a little bit unprotected, and Superfed does do something to, like, stop him, it could end up in a tie. Whereas even if we just don't score, we win, and Superfed doesn't get the 1-turn chance anymore. So I think this is probably the best play. Just do whatever you can to make it as hard as possible for Superfed to get the ball off you this turn, and hope that you win 2-1.
Yeah, potato is tie, I agree.
Yeah. So I think the next 2 turns from Luminous are going to be just, like, ultra caging. Although none of his players have guard, so the cages, the cage only makes the dodges harder. It doesn't change anything about the actual blocks. But we are 100% going for this cage dive here.
I mean, it's the only option he has for a tie.
Yep. We've got a difficult cage dive from the 2 heads gutter runner, followed by a pickup if we manage the sack from the Agi piece, and then a yeet to the 1-turner who then scores.
I think you might actually go in with the Agi piece.
With the leap? Oh, I guess given that you're... given that the ball carrier doesn't have block.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. Dodge two heads, not getting it done though.
Yeah, I agree with Unseen Walker that just having a bunch of tackle zones is better than scoring here. Yeah, given that the ball carrier doesn't have block, just the like Agi 5 leap might have been the way to do that. Although the issue there is you'd have to be pretty lucky with the scatter to be able to recover it easily with the wrestle piece.
That's true. That's true.
So I don't know. I'm not gonna work out all the possibilities, but I think there's an argument to be made for either option there. Recovery is easier this way, but the sack is harder, and I think the other way, the sack is easier, but the recovery is harder. Oh, Loner's dead. Fuck him. He's just a loner line rat. Who cares? I like how we're on turn 16 and Superfed still has 4 rerolls and Luminous still has 2.
Yeah. Well, these teams have an immense amount of built-in rerolls, so...
That's very true. I mean, I would imagine Luminous is just going to try to like block away the things that are based and then stay there. The other thing you could consider is trying to get the ball to the Agi 5 vamp just so that the sack is more difficult, given that he has block and strength 5.
Block away. Ooh, that Bloodlust is a little awkward, but he does have 2 rerolls, and I would consider consuming one. Yeah, he does.
He does, yeah. Okay, can you get out of range of the wrestle piece? Yes. So we could just potato now, and then he's going to have to try to sack with the Agi piece, and then his recovery is a line rat, which isn't great. We can also surf a storm vermin, or line rat, I mean, sorry. And we do. So the potato now puts him out of range of the rat on the floor. Can we potato? No, we can't potato out of range of the Agi 5. But that does mean the sack or the recovery is either one of those two is going to have to be done by a line rat rather than a... Never mind. This is similar in that we got the armor break on the wrestle piece, so he's not able to recover. So either the sack or the recovery is going to have to be done by not a gutter runner. I think the only option here is... So you leap with the Agi piece for the uphill. Although... You can make it just a 2-die uphill. You leap with the Agi piece for the uphill, and you push north. Well, I guess you have to, if you get a POW, and then the ball could scatter out of tackle zones, and the movement gutter runner would have the movement to recover it and score. So you take the storm vermin and you put them around here to mark up the vamp, and then we leap in and block the vampire from this square. It'll be a 2-die uphill, but if we get a POW, we push here. And then we have a reasonable scatter chance. If we get the both down, we hope the scatter bounces off the thrall or your downed rat and goes the same way. Like, we're praying for good scatters here. There's the leap. There's the uphill. That'll do it. Double both down. We need the scatter to go up. It does. Oh, but then it goes back down. Well, there we go. Well, try to roll 6s with the loner, I guess. It did go up, but we needed it to go up again so that this loner, or the one-turner, could pick it up and then go score. We can't scatter it again because this vampire has sidestep. I mean, I guess we could hope for a POW so that the pickup is easier. It's a bit of a long shot, but everything you do is a long shot now, so you might as well try. We're going to need a bucket full of 6s with a line rat now to make this happen. He needs Fumble Rooski, yeah. That new leaked skill or what have you. Although I've been paying almost zero attention to that whole thing. Because I don't play tabletop, so it doesn't affect me in the slightest until we know anything about Blood Bowl 3, which we don't. And even if Blood Bowl 3 released tomorrow, REBBL isn't going to switch to it, so I don't really care very much. And there we go. That's the game. Luminous takes that over Superfed, which puts Luminous tied for Superfed, or tied with Superfed for first in REL 1.
Proxy Page picking up the useless MVP there.
Yeah.
Unless he rolled Claw for his final level, he's really a disappointment incarnate.
And Waffle is also a pretty useless MVP, frankly, on the Agi 2 Wrestle Tackle Thrall. But Luminous takes that one, 2-1. That is a big result in terms of the playoff races, because Superfed is not guaranteed now. Like, that is one of the... He needed like a tie there, I think, to 100% lock it, and he didn't get that. So he's not totally locked yet. And that does do quite a bit for Luminous's chances, given that he's now tied with his main competitor. Well, I guess that's going to be our recap. I'm going to bring up the title screen again. Not much of a recap, but that was certainly very entertaining, so I hope you guys enjoyed watching that instead of along with the very, very brief recap we did. We'll put in our predictions for next week's games just ourselves in the predictor sheet that we have together, so feel free to look at them there if you want, or add your own. We will be back next Wednesday for the penultimate recap, where we look at the matches that happened this week, and try to predict the final week, and then there'll be one more after that where we look at the last results, see who goes to playoffs, all that kind of good stuff.
It's getting pretty exciting.
Yeah, both divs are really close, especially with that result there. 2A and 1 have a lot of changes, given that there's normally somebody is locked in Div 1 by this point, given that there are 5 playoff spots. So by the time you get to like week 12, it's pretty likely that someone's won enough that they can't fall further than 5th place. But all of our top teams in REL 1 are very close to each other, so nobody is locked there yet as far as I'm aware, which is pretty fun, pretty exciting.
Yeah, I mean, like, I think last season we had people locked by like week 9, week 10 even.
Yep, yeah, for sure. There was...
Science was locked almost like at an incredibly early stage, so this is definitely a departure from last season.
Yeah, I think the only locked player in REL 1, REL 2A, and REL 2B is Stacy in REL 2B. So that's shows you how tight these top divisions are right now. Thanks everybody for hanging out. I hope you enjoyed it. We'll be back next week. And until then, I'm in Steakmittens.
And I'm Shadorra.
And we will see you folks next time.